This is the BodPod, the podcast where we welcome friends and experts to talk all things body image, self-love, and confidence. This is the BodPod. Hey BodCon squad, I'm Rachel K. Grimm, your resident hype girl and host of the BodPod, and I am back today doing something really different for this podcast. We are going to go completely vlog style for this episode because we're doing something really exciting and something that has brought me so much joy. I'm actually recording this intro after doing what we're going to do in this vlog today, and I feel so inspired, so empowered, and so confident. And I have a really good feeling that after watching this episode, you're going to feel the same way too. I don't know if you remember our friend Sarah Gaines of JoyFlow Movement. We've done an episode with her here on the podcast before, and she was even a featured speaker and mover in our most recent BodCon conference. Sarah is absolutely incredible, empowering people through organized movement, but it's not your typical workout class. It's more of a guided movement or meditation that gets your whole body going, and I would say glowing too. It leaves me feeling so full. And if you've had the opportunity to experience this with Sarah, whether it be at our conference, at one of her events, or even through her social media, you would know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. But what makes this episode so special is that Sarah has recently become the host of a morning show here in New York City called Morning Movement. It is streamed at the Zeam Studios in Times Square, and Sarah brings a live audience together to stream this beautiful JoyFlow movement and get people moving, yes, in person, but also on the other side of the screen at home, or heck, maybe even at their desk at work. I'm not going to lie, when I left the house on my way to the event this morning, I was excited. I mean, I have on this cute little outfit. The theme was to be colorful and playful, and so this definitely felt like it fit the vibe. And I walked out the door and the sun was shining and I felt it on my face, and I truly did feel so much joy in my body. But you know, heading to a space where I'm going to be around a lot of people and a lot of people I don't know, I was a little bit nervous, right? I was a little bit in my head about how my body was going to show up on this camera, if I'm going to look and sound and be okay. But the moment we got started with the JoyFlow movement, I felt true peace over my body, from starting with wiggling my fingers to my wrists to my shoulders, my belly, my hips, down to my toes. I felt so loose and wonderful. And Sarah even had us spread our arms wide open, take a big breath, and hug ourselves. And the way I just sat in this hug, I hugged myself and I thought, I give hugs and love and grace to people in my life that I love all the time. Why not do that for myself, you know? And this was just a moment and a practice that I know I can take into the rest of my life. Being open to giving myself that hug, breathing deep, and really feeling my body, understand what my body is going through. The entire live studio audience did this practice, and I would say after the about 20 minutes that we walked through it, all of us were smiling bigger than ever. And I know I felt so confident. I no longer was worried about how I was showing up, and I felt really at peace introducing myself to the other women there and getting into deep, meaningful conversation. Sarah definitely sets up the show that way for a reason, by the way. The movement and then going into conversation, because today she had an incredible guest on the show, Chrissy King. I don't know if you know Chrissy King. I wasn't familiar with her until Sarah introduced me to her, but it makes so much sense that someone like Chrissy be someone that me and we here at the BodCon are obsessed with, because she wrote a book all about body liberation. And Sarah had her on the show to talk more in depth about the book, what it's all about, what body liberation is, and how it's impacted the rest of her life. But there was one thing that Chrissy said to me that really stood out to me, and I took away as a huge learning point. Chrissy said when she was super hyper focused on her body all the time, she had no mental space to think about anything else. She always envisioned a different version of her life than the life she was living then, but she literally couldn't do it because her mind was just so clouded with these thoughts of what her body should be, how she should look, how she should be showing up in the world, that she couldn't think about where she wanted to be, what career she wanted to do, what she wanted her relationships to look like. So many other aspects of her life were put on pause because she was distracted by all of the conversation in her mind going on about her body. And when she finally stopped thinking so much about her body, she was able to dive into all these other areas of her life and create a full, beautiful life that she's proud of. A life that has led her to write articles, be on Good Morning America, publish a book, now go on Sarah's show. And if she wouldn't have challenged herself to make that change, she literally wouldn't be here today. So between realizing that I need to hug myself more often and not allowing my mind to be so distracted by the little things that I don't actually get to make movement on the big ones, I'm feeling so incredibly empowered by this experience, and I can't wait for you to now experience it too. So let's go do some JoyFlow.
That energy and then like 10x when they cameras are full. Rolling. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Movement Show, episode 2, streaming here from New York City at Zeam Studios. How are you doing this morning? In studio crew here today, and I'm so happy to welcome you here to the Morning Movement Show wherever you are tuning in from. My name's Sarah Joy Gaines, and I'm your host. We're gonna get started with some movement just to help us get to our bodies. Yes, feel good, feel loose. And then later, after the break, we have an amazing guest here today. We have Chrissy King, author of The Body Liberation. And we're going to bring that element of body liberation here into our movement practice. So really focusing on feeling free, connecting with these amazing bodies that we get to live this life. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to first just start by some breathing and grounding. And before we do that, I want to introduce to you, we got some MAGA breathers here with me today. We've got Josie. And we've got Phil. And as you can see, Josie is seated here in a chair. And Josie's going to stay in the chair the whole time. So you can see that you can do this practice seated. You could do it standing. You can stay seated on your couch the whole time. Maybe at some point you feel called to get up and groove. Or you stay exactly where you are. Maybe you're even at your desk, right? So let's go ahead. We'll get started. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And you can soften your gaze or close your eyes here. And we begin here to simply abide and start to notice your breaths. Letting yourself land here where you are. And then together we'll take a breath in through the nose. Big exhale, let it go. One more like that. Breath. And still let it go. Now we're going to move into a breath pattern that we call the sigh. So you're going to take a breath in through your nose here. Pause. Take a second sip of breath in. And then exhale, let it go. And then we'll do 2 more just like that. So like breathe on in. Pause. Take a second sip in. Let it go. Last one, inhale. Pause. Second sip. And let it go. Then you might already start to notice yourself feeling a little bit further crossed. Next, a breath higher. You kind of just flick your back pocket and pull it out anytime you need a moment. On a little ease, a little bit of calm. So we'll go ahead and now release your arms down by your side. We're going to move into what's called the shrug. And so this is exactly what it sounds like. Where your trash lines up to your ears. And then as to let them go. And then you might have already just naturally, instinctively done this. This time it's a breath in. Exhale with an HA. We eat a lot of that these days, right? Breath in, shoulders up. Let it go. And one more breath in. How big and loud can you get that exhale? Yeah. So we've got our sigh. We've got our shrug. We're kind of adding in all of these little, what I call snacks, these little pocket-sized practices you can do into your day. Next one. We're going to start with what's called the slow float. So this is really gentle. You reach your arms up overhead. And then as slow as you can, just let the hands start to fall back down. Feel your hands move through space. We'll do one more like that. Breath and hold the way up. Sing the full length of your body. And then also let the hands float down. So you can either continue to do that, or if you want something a little bit more powerful, we're gonna bring in the slang. Sam does this one. I tell you, we're gonna reach on up, like you gotta fall. Exhale, let your slam it up. Again, breath in, reach on up. Exhale, slam it down, or you continue that slow flow, but one more. Jet it. Beautiful. And then just go ahead, let yourself come to stillness. Just check it. How you feeling so far? We did that sigh, we did that shrug, that slam. Now, we're gonna bring in what's called the shake. I know you know how to do this. We're just gonna shake our body. I feel a little bit silly and a little bit awkward, but we're gonna do it. And we're gonna start just with the hands. Just shaking off the hands. You got some dirt on your hands, you just say shaking it off. Big little jazz hands action. And next, we're gonna bring that shake all the way up the arms into your shoulders. Right? And so this is all about just letting peace. We're starting to detach from what this looks like and really starting to focus on how we're a movement, how it feels. So let's bring this now into the legs. Beautiful. And then your whole body here. How loose can we get? It's body liberation. Shake out. We're here for one finest stillness. Woo. How we feel? It always sounds to me, it's like you shake up the snow globe and then this settle in. That's always what I feel. Just so good. Okay. Last one here, and then we're gonna weave it all together into our JoyFlow practice. It's a smile. Alas. That's just what we're gonna do. It's so simple, but so powerful. So here we go. We're gonna start with the teeniest, tiniest little smile. Like there's just an upside down rainfall on your face. So it's like a little, just like a little teaspoon. That we're gonna let that expand and get be just some heat. And then we're gonna bring some sound. So you breathe in, and then exhale with a. And then we're going to giggle. So to breath in, and then a little. And then turn my dance. So my little raise that up. This release or in sound. You take. It's silly. I know it feels awkward. You're like, why are we just standing here laughing? But it is so important to be able to cultivate that sense of laughter, that joy. And it's also literally good for your heart, your cardiovascular system. Laughter works. It can move your heart. We're talking physically. We're talking energetically. We gotta laugh. So, how we feel? We're weave all of these practices together now into our JoyFlow. So we kind of just started to move some energy in the body, creating space for your own joy to flow through. And we're gonna bring some of that free movement out. We're gonna start. Back in the hand on the heart, and then hand to your, and then we'll find out about sway from sides. Oh. And then throughout this whole practice, you can keep your eyes open, or if you want to soften your gaze, or maybe close your eyes, that might help you connect with how your body feels internally. And then as you take this sway, start to notice your breath. Notice your feet on the ground. Or if you're seated in a chair, notice where your body eats that surface eat you. And then we'll come to stillness slowly, just landing there. And then we'll take a breath in through the nose. Great exhale. One more on that breath. Let go. Then open your arms out all the way wide on your next breath. As you exhale, you wrap your arms around yourself. You find a nice big old morning cup. Another breath in, you open on up. Exhale, opposite our hands on hips. Simple. Now you're going to start to move that through that at your own pace. You're welcome to bring some movement into your spine here. So if I turn to the side, you can start to find a tiny little back bend and then make you rounding up your spine if that feels good. or you're just being that like going just with the arms. And as you take these hugs, really think about what does it feel like to embrace yourself here, offering yourself this gift of movement. We'll be here for 3. We'll meet with arms outstretched in 2. And last one, opening it as wide as you can in your big breath, then taking up some space as you exhale, arms reach on up overhead. Take a sway from side to side. And then as you do, just roll out your wrists, maybe scrape your fingers wide. I like to pick some imaginary sleep here. Weather start to get warm, we're gonna get some sleep growing from some trees. And then inhale, reach your arms all the way up overhead. It's a slam or slow flow. You take whichever one works for you. Looking couple of these, grab it. Exhale, slide bum or the slope of once more. Use that breath so good. Then just come to still. Let's take a moment to pause, ground. Feel your feet where they are. Easy and shoulder sharp all the way up. Exhale, let go. Feel. Let's go 2 more. Grab it. Big exhale. Last one, inhale. Exhale, maybe stick out your hand. So good, y'all. Let's start to roll the shoulders back. And then roll your shoulders forward. Right, so reversing all of the times up that might be on our computers, here up our phones, just starting to create space. And you're gonna start to let your shoulders move freely, right? So here's where we start to just invite in that essence of free movement. And then from here, you're gonna bring it to your elbows. So just start to let your elbows move and explore the space around you. And then you start to notice the connection between your elbows and your shoulders. As you move your elbows, you might feel sensation in your shoulders. The beauty of the body is that everything is all connected, all these systems working together. That you be here, alive, breathe. Let's go ahead and send the arms all the way out. Start to explore the space around. Ooh, we start to find a little bit more space. Deepening your breath. My beautiful audience, how we doing? I love a room full of people moving freely on a high series. Now let's 1 minute start to bring us into the full upper body. So bring your awareness to your ribs. Can you soften your belly? Just let your belly go here. Ooh. Take an inhale in. And as you exhale, let's bring it to the hips. Start to move your hips around. Maybe as a bring it around towel. And take it the other way. That's where you're going. So from side to side. You know, the lip you're seated. Just continuing to let that upper body move. Maybe just noticing where your hips connect to the chair or the surface. And then we'll bring it into the legs. So just letting your legs move here. We got thighs. We got knees. We got halves and chins. Great. Just a moment to say, oh, head bob. Thank you. And then we'll bring it all the way down to the ankles, to the feet, to the toes. So you're wiggling your toes. And then you invite your whole upper body to eat. So good now. Taking up space. We'll be here for half. We'll be here for 4. We'll find stillness in 3, in 2, and in 1. Start to make your way to silk. Seek your time. We come back, hand to heart, again to belly. Soften your gaze and close your eyes. Take a breath in. Big exhale, let it go. Ooh. Just noticing what you feel in your body. Release your arms down by your side. The shoulder trim all the way up. Excellent. 1 more, let that breath in. And release. Well. Now we'll start to bring it, starting the hands. Going into the arms. The shoulders. The whole upper body here. And then shaking out the legs. Shaking out the legs. Yeah, make some noise with this. Breath in. So we'll be here for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Back to stillness. Take your time. Ooh, feel your feet where they are. Feel your body where it is. Take it in, kneel. Yes. Reach your arms up. And then reach your arms out. Reach your arms around yourself, returning to that hug. Draw your chin towards your chest. And then maybe take a little sway from side to side here. As you just take a moment to really feel yourself. Holding yourself close. A little moment to ask body to be. And then you'll take the next few moments to just let yourself do whatever that might be. Maybe you want to stay here in this spot. Maybe you want to take another few like stretches or wiggles. The beauty on this practice of JoyFlow is that it's going to look completely different for every single person. Because the needs of every single person is different. Depending on the type of day it is, depending on who you are and just what's happening in your life, right? Every individual tending to their own needs here together. Hang a moment or some more. And then we'll meet with arms reaching all the way out. Take another sway from side to side. Go. And then inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, we'll all take that slow let the hands fall. And then bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your heart. We'll return to our sigh, rapid. Halves. Steadies. Inhale. Pause. Seconds. Let it go. One more. Just take a moment and notice 7 feet. Notice all that energy moving in your body. Noticing the power of movement and wrap. Take one more inhale here. Big exhale ito. May you find that kiki fighting little swirl, that smile. And then we'll start to grow that smile the same way you would reach the arms out all the way by, but just letting that happen across the face. Beautiful. Take a breath in. On that exhale, it's that key kami up, up. And then go ahead, take a moment to notice and feel surrounded by laughter, love, and joy wherever you are tuning in from. Here from New York City, we're sending you so much love. Take a moment to take anything you eat, grab some water. We will be right back after the break. We've got Chrissy King in the house. Welcome back to the Morning Movement Show. I'm your host, Sarah Joy Gaines, and I am now joined by Chrissy King, author of The Body Liberation Project. Give it up for Chrissy. I'm so happy you're here. And, I said this to you prior, but when I was thinking about guests for the show, you were one of the first people that came to mind because your book and your work of, as the book says, right, Body Liberation Project, helping folks understand racism and diet culture to cultivate joy and build collective freedom. It is everything that I stand for and that JoyFlow really aims to do from an embodied standpoint. So thank you for being here.
For super happy to be excited.
So before we dive into the book and how that came to be and how it's come to be since its release, I want to start at the very beginning and have you share with us what's your first breed.
Oh my gosh, my first memory of movement is like taking walks with my family. And we used to do it all the time, and I love a hot girl walk now. So when I was like young, we used to all do like walks after dinner, and it is just so much fun. It wasn't so much about like exercise or like it was just like something we did after dinner as a family, and I just loved it. And every day, still I'm gonna walk it. So.
I remember when I interviewed you, must have been like a year and a half ago, or for something else, and I asked you, what's your go-to like wellness tool that you hasn't cost any money? And you said walk.
I love walk.
And oftentimes I will tell you, I've gone for little mental health hawker walks, and I thought of you because I never used to like really consider myself a walker. But yeah.
It just definitely clears your head. Like I can get ideas when I walk. It's chill. I like it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so from walking post dinner to now, I mean, I know you were a trainer at some point. Can you walk us through your journey of movement and ultimately how that led you to write the Body Liberation Project?
Yes. So walks with my man were buckle last time I was chilling with exercise. Yeah, I got into movement. Not so much because I care about being strong or empowered. I got into it because I wanted to be skinny. And so I spent a lot of time in my late teens, early 20s, like over exercising, obsessing about calories, macros, how many hours I was spending in the gym. I eventually got to powerlifting, which actually was really cool. And powerlifting was really fun because it was actually the first time that I saw that my body could be used or it was like a tool, not something to shrink, but like something that could be empowerable and how it was useful and had utility. And growing up, I always had this like family running joke. I went weekly in my family, and I was like, "That's cool," because some people read, some people don't care. Instead of powerlifting, and I was like, "Oh, strength is a skill just like any other skill, right?" And so I went from being able to do like nothing, like not even. I remember my first personal training session. I hated it. It was 30 minutes. It's the worst 30 minutes of my life. I push up, I walkie lunges. I was like, "I'm never coming back." How old were you? I was like probably like 21 or something, 22. So I was like, yeah. They right out of college. I was like, I'm never doing this again. But I paid for 12 sessions. So I was like, I'm not spending money. Wow, rough back. So I'm skinny this year. Also, I thought skinny was not going to be ball. I didn't think like strength training was going to be ball. Right. Skinnies? Yeah, well, I didn't know.
Well, because lifting makes you bulk.
Yeah, you were lifting weights. That's what they came here for. Then I really liked the feeling of getting strong. And so eventually that led me to powerlifting. I competed in powerlifting. And nationally, I'm the strongest. I was able to do 500 pounds. Still really proud of. I can't truly say, by the way. Yes, but those are about this. I think it's deadlift. So I got really, really strong, and I loved it, strength. And that's what got me into becoming a personal trainer. But at the same time, I was still, even when I was at my strongest and probably my leanest, like people were always complimenting me on my body. I was still hyper-focused on getting smaller. Like, it never felt like that. And so, really, it was like, I had this, like, I held my rock bottom moment because I was the strongest I'd ever been. I was the leanest I'd ever been. Getting compliments from people about the way I looked. And I still was so miserable. I couldn't enjoy, like, social events. Like, yeah, I went on a weekend trip where I couldn't control everything I hate. It was, like, my worst nightmare. And so I think when I got to that point, I went on a weekend trip with my family, my ex-husband and my husband at the time, divorced now. And he, like, I packed everything for the entire weekend because I did not want to, like, mess up my macros. And I was with this extended family.
Wow.
And so we went to, like, Swatter Park one day, and then we were, like, break for lunch. And I was eating in the car because I had packed this sad meal. So it's like a rat that's been sitting in a cooler all day. So sad. And so everybody was like, cool. Like, it was, let us. And so everyone in the restaurant went inside to eat, and they were like, why is she staying in the car? But the next time is really very, she wants to be healthy. She brought her own food. And then they asked the restaurant if they could bring my food in, which the restaurant was like, sure. But then it took me like 5 minutes to eat it. And then I just sat there watching everyone like order whatever they wanted, and the food smelled good. It was like fresh. It was like stuff. It smelled delicious. And in that moment, I was like, wow, I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing this. Or I'm going to heal my relationship with body image because I'm really young still. Like, I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. And so that's what really started me down the journey of like healing my relationship with my body image.
Wow. It's so so many pieces of your story are so resonant. Both, I mean, to me, and I'm sure, I mean, anybody that had nuts and the audience, right? Like, this will let me plan everything that I can to circle around controlling what I eat so I can then get this body that I'm saying is the thing that is going to give me everything I will ever want and dream of. And yeah, this is why I want to have off the show, because it's just so resonant and so important. And, I also resonate too with this aspect of first finding fitness originally with this intention of, well, let me get as tall as I can. But then it also having these really beautiful side effects like, oh my gosh, I'm strong physically. And that strength physically transcends into confidence and mental strength. And so, shadows and light on either side. And then that aha moment. So walk us through what happened next. Because you have that moment, but as my experience on these, it's like all the structures in your life are still supporting that other way of living. So what be next?
Yeah, it actually came like really small changes, right? Like I'm like, okay, obviously I would have to change something. This isn't working. So the first thing I did was like, I'm going to stop tracking all of the macros, right? Which sounds like a big step, but when you've been tracking your macros for years, you still haven't safe. It's not okay. Well, I was still tracking, but not tracking. But it was a small thing of like, oh, what if I just put like regular creamer instead of sugar-free creamer? I'm gonna copy the sounds so small, but like to me that felt like a really big deal at the time. And I was like, okay, well I did that, and that like I'm okay. And like, what if I didn't work out 7 days in the week? What if I did 6 days in the week? And what if I didn't work out for 3 hours? What if I just stayed for 2? Right? So it's like getting little small changes, and every time I did it, I was like, okay, and I'm still okay. And also, like, I was reading a lot of books. I remember the first book I read is The Body is an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor, which is still one of my favorite books today, to really help me start to think about my body in a different way. And like Sonia really introduced me to the idea of like how race and gender and ability status like factored into the way that we feel about our bodies. And so I think it would, and then following different people online, and I even like eventually changed my gym because I was in gym and the culture was so much that I learned my behavior about, not just that I was there. And so I even had to like kind of break away from that for a little bit. And slowly started making these changes and realizing that it was the way I made this little change was still okay. Still. And then eventually, as naturally my body also changed. I'm like, okay, I'm still all right. Right, I'm fine. And I think a thing too, with body image, just like, I talk about this in the book, is body image is not this thing that we achieve one day, or body liberation. It's not this thing that we achieve one day, but we never have negative feelings around body image. Yes. As unrealistic. And I think that if we expect that from ourselves, we're always disappointed. So I think for me, it was also this real understanding of like when I woke up and I wasn't feeling that great or feeling disappointed about things, I also always go back to the things I had to do to maintain the smallest version of myself and how simple that was. Yeah. And so that also helped to keep me grounded along the way. Yeah.
Totally. And, this sense of, I know we talked about this a little bit prior, chatted last time, but how much energy it takes to maintain the lifestyle, which is upholding this idea of wanting to get the body to be as small as it can. And then all that is lost in the process. And so I'm curious if you could just speak to a little bit of that, just that energy.
Absolutely. I always say like, when you're hyper-focused on your body, like it literally is all consuming, right? Like what am I eating today? What are my macros? What am I going to work out? I used to like, people in my life do. I was not skipping my workout to do something, right? So like it was going to be centered around those things. I would take doctor's appointments at work if I had to work out for the day because I had a social event, and I like everything in my entire life was focused around this, and it was all consuming. And I don't think I realized at the time like how much of my energy was being drained, and I didn't really have the energy to think about anything else, do anything else. And so when I moved towards body liberation, and then like, oh wow, I have all this energy free, I was like, wow, what do I actually find in my life? What kind of life do I actually want for myself? Right. And I don't think this will be everybody's story, but it's my story. I think that when I really freed myself from my body image issues and work for body liberation, like I really started to like evaluate every area of my life. And my life is completely different. I quit my perfect job. I got divorced. I moved across the country. And I'm not saying that those things are going to happen. Well, what I realized is that like I was so hyper focused on my body because that felt like the easiest state of control instead of like addressing the real issues that I was having that felt too big to address at the time. So, and that body image is like a low hanging fruit, right? We had everything feels out of control. I know I can control this aspect of energy. Yeah.
And it also makes sense to me that on the other side of this awakening, there's this recognition of, hey, wait, what do I actually want? Because the false promise of the perfect body is all rooted in this belief that it will be like pleasing to somebody. I don't know who that person is or what that thing is, but so like detaching from that, it's wait, actually, what
do I want? Right. And I think the other thing is too is like one of the biggest lies of diet culture is not like you're gonna be so happy once you get to this quote unquote dream body, right? And what you realize is like, oh, this for me is that when I got to that quote unquote dream body, I still wasn't satisfied, still wasn't happy, it was still always something else that they needed to change. And so like there is no happily ever after on the other side of weight loss. Like the happily ever after is our own personal liberation to figuring out what it is that we want for ourselves, what kind of life we're gonna cultivate. It's not the magic is not in weight loss or shrinking the body. Yeah.
they took to let that settle in. Well, so the Body Liberation Program, March, right, is when ours released. So 2 years. And that was the first time I actually met. The copy that I have here is actually signed by you at this very video store. Because this was the first time. I mean, that I came upon your book and your work, and I was just so excited to see it come to life. And so 2 years later, I mean, what has the evolution been of even like the book being out in the world, like how it's getting received, just podcast about that?
Yeah, first off, I can't believe it's been 2 years. Does it feel like it? I mean, it's Friday, it's 2 years. I was like, God, it's so wild. Like, time really goes fast. Sure does. But happening at first off, publishing a book is such a cool thing. Like, I'm always really transparent about that. Like, walking into a bookstore and seeing that you wrote, like, I never get tired of it. It's still surreal every single time. I'm like, wow, I wrote that. I worked in the library one day. I just feel like an event, and my book was like right apple pile. My book's in the library. That's so
Yes.
cool. And I think it's such a vulnerable thing to release a book into the world, right? Like you put so much effort and energy into it, and traditional publishing is a really long process. It's like 18 to 24 months that you work on book before it hooks out. So
Playing the pre-process, like pre-publication,
all of that. It's so much. So by the time it comes out, you like, it's like you burnt something. You're like, this is my baby.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the coolest things for me about the process has just been like, people sending you messages or DMs just telling you like how much they're looking for the impact of them. And I think that's what I always wanted the book to do. I wanted it to be a book that was really helpful for people in a meaningful way. And then, there's always people who don't like the book, which I would say don't read the reviews on anything. Just and you know what? That's true though, because like no matter who you are, be the best up in the world. Someone's gonna think your work is trash, right? So I made the mistake of reading reviews one time, and all of them were like overwhelmingly positive. There were two that were terrible. I was like hyper fixating on them. So invaders should never write anything. And then people were like, okay, calm down. But then when I did to make this up better is I went to Someone's Good Breed for a book that I think is like, one of the greatest works of art. And they had the same experience. I'm like, okay, because it's the same for anyone. But yeah, just being able to happily evergreen that I think people will be able to benefit from. I do remember when I was writing in like 2021, and I think we were like body positivity and like that those things felt like they're really soaring, right? Like inclusivity, it was like on the buzz. So I was like, oh my gosh, art could be this book, but like I'm still gonna write it. But I was like, I think people figured it out. It's a little like there are 2025 it'd be like the pendulum is going in the opposite direction. Yeah. And so I'm like, the word needs to be here more than ever.
Yes.
It is, for real. So that's that because it's, it's so entrenched in our culture and just in our own, like, just like in the roots, you know what I mean? And so like the unrooting, the deep rooting, like what is the plant phrased? Is takes so much, and it happens individually with each of us, but then to see it sustained around us, I mean,
Yeah, it's so much. And I've been talking a lot recently about how I really believe that like this reemergence of diet culture, this reemergence of like thinness culture, coalescing when the same time is like reproductive rights being questioned. I think all of these things, I don't think it's coincidental, right? Like I think what I talk about in the book is like this idea of an ideal body and what it's supposed to be is very much rooted in racism and white supremacy, and same as like our reproductive rights, right? And so like this idea that that should be our focus is intentional because again, when we are focused on those things, we don't have the energy to think about somebody yet. And so it's like, yes, bring the people back to focusing on their bodies, right? Because they don't have the energy to both fight against all narcissistic depression.
totally. And then it also is distracting us from how powerful our bodies are.
Absolutely.
Like the essence of what we're doing JoyFlow is using movement, using breath to help shift the energy of your body, move through stressful states, and ultimately come back to like this incredible vessel. It is so wise, but we haven't been taught that because we've been focused on all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, 2 years post Body Liberation Project, 2 years from now,
Yes.
what do you hope the world is seeing, doing, the Larry seeing?
I mean, I'm still hoping the same face in the book. I think that the thing about diet culture and the hyperfixation of women's bodies is that like you said, it's so deeply entrenched in our society. I've been talking and thinking a lot about this recently as it pertains to Lizzo even, right? Because her body, no matter what it looks like, has always topped the conversation. A larger body, people were in her comments talking trash about her body. Now she has lost weight and people have this, her body she never gets to exist and view her art, right? Like no matter what she's doing, the conversation always comes back to what she looks like. And so I just think that's so evident of how much work we still have to do. Because really, when I think about body liberation, it's not like what your body looks like. It's like, have I learned and can I learn to love and appreciate my body in every iteration? Because our bodies are always changing and they always will be changing. That's the one thing that we are guaranteed in this life. So that's the word, not like, is it supposed to look this way or it's supposed to look that way? And also the work is that we're not thinking what other people's lives look like. Yeah, and that's the part that I think collectively you really have to work on. Like the work is individual and then the work is collective. So that no matter what you accept, however you look in this world, you exist, you are able to exist to recurrent, to bring discrimination, and just to be. And so I think that I hope for us the 2 years to still be like working you so many of these things. I talk constantly about like it really isn't our business to look at people's bodies. What it's our business to comment on people's bodies, positively or negatively, whatever you think that is. Like please. Why I hope that we are working to work collectively because it's hard to resist in the world in a body, and the more marginalized you are, the more difficult it is to exist. And so I think we still have a lot of work to do. Right, help included, and like I think the learning never ends. Like again, because it's so deeply entrenched in society, we're constantly getting these messages. Like the work is always done. It's never done. I always say it's like peeling layers of an onion. Right, there is always more to unlearn. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for just your presence, your wisdom, your work, both in the book and beyond. Where folks
Absolutely. My website is ChrissyKing.com, on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, Thread, all the things. It's I am Chrissy King. And I also have a Substack called The Liberation Collective.
Thank you so much. Give it up one more time. Woo! Thank you to our amazing audience. Here we are at Zeam Studios here in Times Square. Thanks for tuning into the Morning Movement Show. We'll see you next week. We'll have Emily Sherto, founder of Journaling Classes. Have a great week.
BodCon Squad, what do you think? Was I right or was I right? That was so absolutely incredible, wildly empowering, and so inspiring. Women like Sarah and Chrissy are why we do what we do here at the BodCon, and I feel so excited that we got to share this experience with you today. If you liked this episode, please be sure to show it some love and maybe even check out our past episode with Sarah too. And until next time, keep up with us on Instagram and TikTok at the BodCon, where we're sharing confidence boosting things daily. Bye.